I'm Olivia Fuller.
And I'm Alex Bosco, and we're the new co-producers of the Daily's video.
In this week's episode, watch our crew head down to Puget Sound to cover the worldwide protest of Shell Oil.
And in this week's edition of Pros vs. Joes, Chris Zuthrin takes on one of UW's women's basketball stars.
We've got all that and more in this week's episode of the Daily's Double Shot.
Hi, I'm Starla Sampaco.
I'm Christopher Zuthin, and this is the UW Daily Double Shot. I'm Christopher Zuthin, and this week we took on the UW women's basketball team, including UW alum and WNBA future superstar Jasmine Davis. This is Pros vs. Joes. We're Jasmine Davis, and we're going to be doing a little bit of one-on-one.
Jasmine Davis. I am 21 years old, and I've been playing since I was 3, so about 18 years now.
What are your future plans with basketball?
Well, training camp for Seattle Storm starts tomorrow, so that's pretty much my plan for now. Is just taking it day by day with the Storm.
I play exclusively with an and one style. It's about 3 boards for me.
We've already had a couple of workouts, and so far so good. I'm proud of how I've been doing so far, so it officially starts tomorrow.
Tell me about your last season here at UW, and what was that like for you?
I think it was the furthest we've gotten. We went to the NCAA tournament. I think that was our first in 8 years or so, but we accomplished a lot as a team with our chemistry and just getting deeper in the season.
Shot. It's gonna be straight facial. Game.
I think my role is to be a leader and make the players around me better. And I think that I think I did a pretty good job.
I hope you packed your PJs because I'm going to put her to sleep on this next one. How do you think you stack up against the rest of the competition with the WNBA?
I think I got youth on my side. I'm the youngest one there. It's going to be a great learning experience, and it's great to play with a lot of the veterans.
All right.
I don't know if you knew this, but I'm a second-degree black belt in karate, play the trumpet, piano. I love instruments, I love music. Why I love basketball? I mean, I grew up around it. My dad played basketball, so I was always a gym rat, and it's there, the muscle is there.
The muscle is there?
Yeah, but I love basketball because I've been around it for so long.
I'm Christopher Zuthin. It's been a really fun day with the women's basketball team. This has been Pros vs. Joes. Are you kidding me?
Starla Sampaco. Today, The Daily is covering the Paddle in Seattle kayaktivism event here at Alki Beach. Protesters are saying shall no to Arctic oil drilling rigs.
Seattle says no!
Though the protest against the Polar Pioneer was distinctly Seattle 2015, the grievances and subsequent mobilization of opposition is not new.
I've been very interested in energy for 30-some years. It opened my eyes back in '73 when they had that first oil embargo, and I just saw, how much power that has over people at that time, and we saw it again, and we've seen it again and again.
Today, the front lines are drawn in Alaska.
They want to take this thing up into such a harsh place as the Arctic Sea, where, the winters are nasty as heck, and try to drill oil and not have a problem. It's not will it happen, it's a matter of how quickly is it going to happen until they have another major spill. Why are we doing this 130-year-old technology?
All right, we are about to get on the water.
Chants filled the air as hundreds of protesters in human-powered craft poured into Elliott Bay, forming a massive, multicolored flotilla.
So my goal in being here is to be part of a growing movement.
We have people from all across the region and even other countries who have come to support.
Very climate savvy city, and also a city that's known for resistance. They chose the wrong city to come here.
A majority of protesters were from Seattle. However, they sought to show solidarity with indigenous communities from Alaska who will be directly affected by Polar Pioneer. Ken Workman, a descendant of Chief Seattle himself, recognized this plight as one that has been affecting Native communities for generations.
Nothing's changed. This massive rig has come into port once again, just as a massive rig came into our ports 200 years ago, 220 years ago.
This is their land, so it's important that we're recognizing that and that we're doing this act in solidarity. So
we also caught up with Kate at UW to ask about our involvement as students.
We've really seen the campus get shooken up a bit, and people have really started coming out as activists and working really hard. So I don't think the potential's not there. I think we just needed a catalyst, and it's here. This could shake all of the country's legislative body.
The longer we avoid facing the facts and stepping up and dealing with the realities, the harder it's going to be to make the changes. I've written a song that is an update of Bob Dylan's famous song, The Times They Are A-Changin'. So here it is. Come gather.
As climate change grows in the public consciousness, mobilizations like we saw on Saturday represent visible flashpoints in the confrontation between economic interests and environmental watchdogs. Seattle, as a hub for both ships and protest, will stay at the forefront of the debate. Starla Sampaco, The Daily.
Better start calling, don't pick up the phone, for the climate on Earth is a change.
Hello, I'm Dylan Teague McDonald, and today on Film Focus we're going to be looking at Mad Max Fury Road.
It is by my hand you arise from the ashes of this world.
We are not things. We are not things.
Where is she taking them?
So for those of you who don't know, the Mad Max series is a trilogy of films back in the 80s that's got it's kind of the ultimate post-apocalyptic film. Like, this is where the idea of what happens to humans after the end of the world really comes from. The first thing you got to know about Fury Road, what separates it from the earlier films in the series, or any film really, is that this is probably one of the most visually unhinged, insane spectacles you're ever going to see. So, I mean, I'm an old school Mad Max fan myself. I've seen all the original films a couple times each. I think I watch Road Warrior at least 4 times a year. That's a slow year. And this is that same spirit taken to, it's been updated for the modern age, probably even pushed farther. Like, this film definitely ranks with Road Warrior, maybe above it, kind of depends on maybe what mood you're in. But you're not missing anything continuity-wise. This is more of like a collection of standalone stories with the same main character. So plot-wise, what's really going on in this film is you've got, I think Charlize Theron is more of a main character than Mad Max, played by Tom Hardy. The female aspect is one of the main themes of this film, that Charlize Theron is the main pusher and driver of story action. Mad Max is along for the ride, he helps out, and that's really cool, but it's primarily Imperator Furiosa's story. And she liberates a group of sex slaves from this sort of desert warlord, and she carries them across the desert. She's trying to get back to her sort of tribe of warrior women. And as they kind of are brought into the world, they start picking up skills and becoming, you know, useful in this sort of traveling party that they put together. And just the amount of agency that female characters have in this film is really amazing for an action film. When you think of Hollywood as kind of a stodgy place that relies on tried and true ideas, to see this many active female characters and also the visual kind of splendor on display, it's a big thrill to see.
The world fell. Each of us in our own way was broken. It was hard to know who was more crazy.
It's a special effects film, but it's not using special effects to hide the fact that there are no ideas. These are ideas that could only be done on this kind of wide canvas. It's completely out of control in the best possible way. For example, just to give you a taste of what's in this film, the bad guys ride into battle and they have a semi-truck, and on the front of that semi-truck they have a wall of guitar amps and an electric guitarist who's just like shooting flames out of his guitar. Like it's this sort of 70s, you know, glam rock insanity that's just, I've seen a lot of movies in my time, and there were things in this film that I had never expected to see, but did see and loved to see. The sound mix in this film is also amazing, because you've got, you know, a lot of the film is long car chases. The sound mix in the theater as you're sitting there is just full of that sort of rhythmic chug of the engines and the gears turning and the tires squealing and all that. And you know, it's destructive, but it's also kind of beautiful just to have that constant rhythm throughout the film. It just fills you with that kind of the power of these motors and these weapons on display. So overall, I think that this is a film that if you're an action movie fan, you're gonna love it, because it is the best kind of action film. It's, you know, it's an action film that's showing you things you've never seen, and it's doing those new ideas perfectly, I would really say. If you aren't an action film fan, I think you can still find things in this because of the strong characters, the emotional kind of peaks that they reach, especially if you are the kind of person who has wanted to see more female characters in film. The main protagonists, the whole cast of main heroes in this film, with the exception of Mad Max, are female. So it's breaking a lot of new ground visually and in terms of storytelling, and it reaches these emotional high points. And I can't imagine a person who isn't going to be satisfied seeing this film. I'm Dylan Tig McDonald. This has been Film Focus. Thank you for watching, and remember, 2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
Hi, I'm Starla Sampaco. Today I spoke with members of Disorientation, an RSO here on campus that holds radical history tours for students here on campus every fall during Dog Days. They put on an abridged version of their tour for us here at the Daily, so let's check it out. Every year, prospective UW students and their parents visit Seattle to familiarize themselves with the U District and learn a bit about campus culture. During orientation, campus tour guides speak about the opportunities provided by the university. However, Disorientation provides a very different look at our campus in their radical history tours, and tells the stories that incoming freshmen do not usually hear about. We began the tour in front of Denny Hall, the oldest building on campus.
Disorientation is a student-led, social justice-focused alternative to orientation. And the way the Radical History Tour plays into this is that we're trying to do a progressive introduction to events of student activism, both past and present, in the university.
When we think about regular orientations and regular university tours, not just at UW, but across the nation, why do you think there is that tendency to not include, that counter history?
I think that's a tough question. I think that our university, and part of what the tour and Disorientation critiques, is our university's role and contribution to systems, to oppressive systems, to colonialism, to neoliberalism, to imperialism, structural racism. And it's hard for the university to want to incorporate that into its own orientation and its own sense of, the way that it's publicized. But that is a part of the history, and we need to celebrate the moments of resistance to those oppressive systems as well.
Well, it's natural for the university to want to present its most positive side, vision, values, and we're not necessarily negating those things, but we're telling an alternate history, so kind of giving a more comprehensive view and full information about the ways in which the university as an institution hasn't been a perfect one. And I think that's important for any student to know and learn about, because this is also a place of learning and critical thinking.
The Quad is a popular spot during campus tours. However, Garrett Strain spoke about the Quad as a place of activism.
So students were doing a ton of picketing all across the Quad, about 500 students. Out of that window right there and the art building, students dropped a huge banner that said, Emmert, another budget is possible. And that was kind of the whole message of the action, and that's still the message that students and workers are carrying forward to this day, that another budget, another way of running this university is possible, but we have to fight for it.
The one thing I really do like about the Radical History Tour is that it tells a lot of stories that I didn't know about. So learning about, the student movements in the 60s and how they're still relevant today, it's pretty special.
The buildings in Red Square, too, were once the settings of other less commonly told stories. Take Gerberding, for example.
Gerberding Hall is a pretty iconic place because in 1967, the Black Student Union occupied the president's conference room. There's a pretty iconic photo of one of the students scaling the wall, bringing food and supplies and a record player to Gerberding Hall. And eventually, in about 8 hours in negotiation from ACLU lawyers, Gerberding capitulated, he gave in, and decided that there would be some gains made regarding civil rights on campus. Now, it's really important that we acknowledge this because a lot of the features and resources that are available for students of color on campus came out of that period. And today we do the same dance with administration, struggling to help them keep good to their commitment to activism.
The tour ended at UW's newest building, the Intellectual House, which opened in March. As some may not know, the UW was founded on occupied Duwamish Native land. The Intellectual House is a gathering space for Native American students, staff, and faculty.
So it took over thousands of people and over 40 years of advocating to make this building a possibility. So we like to think of it as a testament to that struggle, as well as the struggle that Native communities continue to face in expressing their past with others and honoring their history.
We are just as much as part of telling the story as anyone else here. And I think sometimes students lose sight of that because they see themselves as being here for 4 years and leaving and moving on. But, our presence here is very significant and potentially very impactful.
Activism is not just about complaining about your current state, it's also about reimagining the way that things could be and improvements that could happen here too. So, let's imagine a liberatory education. Let's imagine democratization of our university. Let's imagine more voices, more diversity.
It's important to note that disorientation covers a wide range of topics that were not covered in this segment, from Japanese internment to the Red Scare. The RSO will offer their Radical History tours again this fall during Dog Days. Starla Sampako, The Daily.
You're watching Double Shot, and I'm Carol Fallon with thousands of dollars in loans. Thanks, UW. Watch and see how this girl pays for her tuition. She makes accessories for brides and people from all over the world. When she was just 15, it began as a personal hobby that blew up into an online business serving customers from England to Australia to New Zealand and even Mongolia. Every detail is important, and every item is handmade, crafted to the preference of a bride or envisioned by a driven young fashionista. To Etsy business owner Dua Khan, it's a passion that runs in the family.
My mom actually also owns a business, and she sells like more of the laces and appliques and rhinestones. And so I was making some headbands for myself, and it was like around 9th grade. And it was her birthday, and I asked her what she wanted for her birthday. And instead she was like, "You're just taking my stuff. Why don't you just open your own business?"
So she did, and it was a huge success.
Everyone in school knew that Dua had a company called Designs by Dua, and we were all very supportive of it because, I mean, it was an official company. She got the business license and everything, so we were all kind of on board with it. And she had a Facebook page, and at a lot of events, we would have something called a holiday bazaar at our high school, where we came and sold things for charity. And so Dua would always set up a big stall with all her Designs by Dua stuff, and it was very popular because it was one of the few very handmade item type booths. And so just through small things like that she did throughout the 3 years of high school, everyone came to know about that.
Dua creates accessories from her home in Woodinville. She crafts at the kitchen table. When she is finished, she takes photos of her work and then uploads them to Etsy, a popular website where people upload homemade crafts and designs for sale. For the most part, she is undisturbed. Oh, except for Squishy, her very curious cat. Sometimes he's there to watch, and sometimes he's there to inspect, but he always manages to make an appearance. Dua's accessories vary from wedding headbands decorated with feathers and jewels to customized jackets made from thrifty, recycled materials.
I really take things that aren't maybe that, pretty on their own or beautiful on their own and take them and make them into something really beautiful. And when I wear a piece that I make or actually see someone else wearing a piece that I made for their wedding or just a gift or birthday present, and especially when I wear it, I do feel very beautiful.
But her craft really comes in handy when close friends are looking for something specific for unique occasions.
We had Toga Day in senior year, where everyone dresses up Greek. And one of the things I needed really bad but didn't know where to find was a cute little flower crown that you would wear. And I knew that it seemed like something she would be able to make. She actually hadn't done that before, but I just asked her if she could, and she did.
Dua's designs were a huge hit, but she wondered if she would receive that same friendly support when she made a decision during high school that might change the way people saw her.
When I started wearing hijab, I just actually started wearing it recently, about a year ago. It was sometimes difficult, in the very beginning of high school. What are people gonna think about me? What are my friends gonna say? Are they gonna, not want to hang out with me anymore? Are they gonna think that, I'm some, crazy person who's, too obsessed with the religion? Or, these are just all misconceptions, obviously, but, some people think that you're wearing it, you're all of a sudden super religious, and you're not going to associate with other people.
But her friends and classmates were more accepting than she expected.
She was so proud of what she was doing. And obviously everyone has those things were holding her back. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna start this, just letting you know." And we were like, "Dude, you don't have to warn us. This is gonna be great. You'll look beautiful no matter what, of course." And so she did. And the first day she came into class with a colorful one on, and she had all her accessories, like you said, all matching and stuff. And everyone was like, "Damn, that's so fashionable. Where can I get one of those? Why can't I pull that off?" Honestly, she only got a positive response because she carried herself in such a positive, strong way.
Wearing the hijab gave Dua the opportunity to accessorize even more. But since it was her choice, it also made her feel something inspiring.
You feel more power. For me, when I also started wearing it, it was not only just a religious statement, "Oh, hey, I'm a Muslim sister too," kind of a good way to identify myself. It was also kind of a socio-political, I'm a Muslim woman and I have power. Okay, I go to school, I have education, I drive, I'm an American, I was born here, I'm a citizen, literally everything. I own my own business. Do a lot of you guys do that?
Dua feels like she could change the many stereotypes associated with Muslim women. In many ways, she is.
The fact that she is so successful, and when people see her wearing the scarf on her head, all of a sudden, the perception of not just her as a person, but her identity of being a Muslim is totally changed. And people now suddenly can correlate success with, a Muslim and with the hijab.
As a freshman at the University of Washington, Dua is studying neurobiology and hopes of becoming a doctor.
It's great to see that there's Muslim women holding positions like that, like lawyers, of doctors, businesswomen, and I'm leaving out a lot, but in general, those ones, just because that helps to kind of break the stereotype.
But med school isn't going to be cheap, so she plans to continue with her Etsy business to pay for tuition. But for now, she finds all the power she needs in the things she creates.
When I'm wearing something that I make, something beautiful, colorful, with patterns and feathers and everything, it's me. I'm beautiful on my own, but that's also me showing my beauty even more. And so I don't need to have to show my hair for that. I can be a Muslim woman, wear hijab, and still be beautiful. And it's a way for me to kind of express this bold, creative aspect that I have in my life.
If you like what you saw, you can buy Dua's designs. Just visit Designs by Dua on Etsy. This is Carol Fallen, signing off.
This is Also Wins with the Double Shot, and I produced a piece about getting lost in Padelford Hall. I hope you guys enjoy it.
With Padelford's maze of winding halls, twisted by the spirits worse than my internet history, with elevators slower than a Chem 142 lecture, with dead-end hallways and disconnected towers, Padelford Hall will have you lost quicker than you can say boo.
Over the years, endless numbers of students have been looking very disoriented in this building, and when I ask them, can I help you? Generally, the general question is, how do I get out of here? Once you're on the first floor, you have a much better chance of figuring out how to get out of the building. Because if you're on this level, which is the LL level, or the PL level, which is even worse because it's like the basement, you can't, you can see a window, but you look out of it and it's like a 30-foot drop down to the parking lot. And but if you're upstairs on the first level, at least you can see. There's the outside. The door, if I keep following a hallway, the door is going to appear.
Do you think Padelford Hall is a confusing hallway?
Yes, Padelford Hall is a very confusing hallway.
Why is that?
Well, because the building is separated into 3 different wings. So you have the A wing, the B wing, and the C wing. And then depending on what wing you need to be, you have to be in that particular wing. So for instance, if a student comes in asking to go to, let's say, room 036, A. So then 36, that means that you have to be in the lower level, but in the A wing. So if you're in the B wing, you're not going to find that room. And then so students get confused of where to go from there.
What makes it so confusing, in your opinion?
I think the 3 different wings and the multiple levels, and I think that it's just a little bit overwhelming for people who aren't familiar with it.
Let's try it.
Let's try it. Well, that's all we have for you tonight, and sadly, this is the last episode of the quarter.
But you can check us out in the meantime on our YouTube channel at The Daily UW or on our website at thedailyyuw.com/doubleshot.
And be sure to tune in next fall when we come back with another episode of The Daily Double Shot.